In this video, I'm going to be covering the top 5 settings that you need to be using in Overwatch 2 to maximize your gameplay. Number 1, unnatural colored crosshair. This tip isn't for my aesthetic gamers, but will definitely help you out a bunch in game. Overwatch gives you the ability to fully customize the crosshair on any hero. The main factor that is going to help you out the most in crosshair customization is changing your crosshair's color. The default white is easily lost when aiming against lighter backgrounds. For this reason, you want to be using a crosshair color that represents some of the least used colors within Overwatch. I found that the best option for this is the incredibly light green. However, if you think that staring at this obnoxious color all day will send you to a mental asylum, my second recommendation is the dark blue. Alongside just color though, I would recommend changing your entire crosshair as well. I use the settings shown on screen here, but finding what works best for your hero is totally up to you. I kind of half already plan on making a crosshair video sometime in the future, so if you are looking for a good crosshair, be sure to subscribe. Number 2, toggles off. Many heroes within Overwatch have their abilities available with a toggle option. However, most of these are bad to use and you're going to want to keep them off. Toggling an ability generally requires you to use 2 inputs instead of 1 to use the ability. This extra input will lower your in-game actions per minute, and hence you want to turn it off. Real quick, here is a list of every toggle you can edit within Overwatch so you can check whether or not yours are set appropriately. Reinhardt, Sigma, and Brig all have a toggle option for their shields, whilst Ashe, Widow, and Ana all have a toggle option for their scopes. D.Va has a toggle option for her Matrix, Wrecking Ball has a toggle option for his grapple, and Kiriko has a toggle option for her healing Afuda. Kiriko's one is the only one on this list that is on by default, so be sure to remember to go in and edit that setting, as it gives you more control over how much healing you output every time you click the heal button on Kiriko. There are actually a few more toggle options within the game, but toggling these on or off is mainly down to playstyle and personal preference. For example, Mercy has a toggle option for her beam attachment. If you play with Guardian Angel to beam target, then you'll want to keep this toggle off to maintain Mercy's insane mobility. However, if you play with Guardian Angel to facing target, then you can actually toggle this beam on, so you no longer have to hold down to attach a beam and can still use Mercy's mobility. D.Va, Echo, and Soldier all have toggles for their movement abilities, which I would recommend learning with toggle off at first. Holding down the button to use their movement abilities gives you slightly more control over the action. However, if you've already learned the hero with the toggle off, it really isn't worth changing now in my opinion. Number 3, high precision mouse input. This tip is kind of hard to visualize within Overwatch itself, but I'll try to explain it the best I can. Overwatch receives aiming data from your mouse every tick. With this setting off, when you think that you hit a shot, your crosshair will have had to have been on the enemy when the tick refreshed. With this setting on, the game now allows you to shoot between frames, more accurately aligning where you're attempting to shoot. Kaki used an amazing graphic for this in his settings video, with the white line showcasing where the frames refresh, and the red line showing the extra inputs made available via high precision mouse input. Number 4, friendly and enemy elimination sounds. Brand new to Overwatch 2 is the option to enable sound effects for when your teammates or enemies are eliminated. I absolutely love this setting in Overwatch, but can definitely see why some people find it annoying and prefer to have it off. Whenever somebody is eliminated and displayed in the kill feed, you can enable this sound for when it's a teammate, or you can enable this sound for when it's an enemy. It does take a minute to get used to, but having this sound play upon elimination has definitely helped me in terms of game sense. Knowing the situation of the fight and how many players are currently alive for each team can help you to make important decisions such as when to push and when to retreat. You can totally do this by looking up to the kill feed whenever it updates, but with this setting on, you can get an auditory alert whenever a kill occurs. Now, without even processing it, I find myself more aware of fight situations without having to take my eyes off the fight and into the corner of my screen. Again, I can totally understand why some people would see this as audio clutter, but having learned to use it, I would totally recommend having this option switched on. Number 5, ally health bars and outlines. Also new to Overwatch 2 is having ally health bars and outlines on by default. This goes hand in hand with the previous tip when it comes to game sense. As Overwatch is a team-based game, being able to quickly identify the location and status of your teammates allows you to quicker make decisions based on the situation of the fight. It can help you identify teammates who are flanking, along with anyone who is being swarmed by enemies and needs help, and allow you to act accordingly in these situations. This tip applies especially to my support players out there, as constantly seeing health bars can help you prioritize your healing better, and constantly seeing outlines can also help with movement abilities like Kiriko's Swift Step to know where and when you can teleport to. This setting should be on by default, but I would definitely double check that you have these set to default and included within your settings, as I couldn't recommend these enough. And real quick, I just wanted to give a couple of bonus tips to end off this video. Firstly, I would enable the display of performance stats, turning on both FPS and latency. These FPS and latency values will now appear in the top left corner of your screen and can help you identify whether you're having any current issues with your game. For example, if you happen to connect to a different server within Overwatch, you can see your latency spike above its usual number. This can help you to determine which hero you select in this match. Hit scan heroes such as Soldier or Baptiste require super low latency to play consistently, whilst projectile heroes such as Hanzo or Kiriko are much more reliable picks on higher latency. I would say anywhere below around 50 milliseconds is low latency, and anything above that would be considered high. I would also recommend setting your camera shake settings to reduced, as these effects can be distracting when mid-fight with a ton of different abilities flying around. And finally, I would recommend changing your friendly colorblind settings to lime green, as it is by far the most appealing color within the set and will gain you my infinite respect. But for real, have a play around with these colors, as some combos can make your game look super nice. There's no real advantage to this, but looking at a nicer game is of course a benefit to the eyes. And that's all I have for you on settings today. Remember to drop a subscription to the channel if you enjoyed the content, and also if you have any questions on any of the settings mentioned in this video, or any settings at all for that matter, please drop us a comment down below and I'll be sure to reply. Apart from that, I'll see you in Route 66.